Welcome to Disruptive Capitalists, the show where purpose-driven entrepreneurs and bold investors share how they're reshaping the world by investing time and money in a way that improves lives and creates wealth. So let's get to it. Hello, everyone. Thank you again for joining us for another great episode of the Disruptive Capitalist podcast. Today, my guest is Zulfiya Forsythe from the CEO and founder of O'Malley Group, where she helps people and businesses streamline operations, uncover valuable insights, and use AI to buy back their time. Her mission is simple: turn complexity into simplicity and empower businesses to focus on what truly matters. Zulfiya, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure.
Now, we met through Dan Martell.
Yes.
Who is a rock star in his own right.
That's right.
But you're a rock star too.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now and your background.
Absolutely. So nowadays, I love to helping construction adjacent companies. We're talking about field service contractors. We're talking about construction specialty contractors as well, and property management companies to automate their processes, because I see that day in day there's a lot of admin work that every position in that role entails. And what I do is I help to bring my knowledge in AI and tech to help them to shorten that, to alleviate that pain of admin work, alleviate of pain of not being able to measure the results properly, so they can all streamline their processes, make more money, and enjoy the work that they do.
That's great. Can you describe specifically? So if somebody heard that, okay, what tasks?
Yes, absolutely. So for example, if we're talking about for HVAC company, what we helped on board is our voice AI agent that picks up every call that comes through the office and making sure that if somebody is on the line answering to another call, the call that's coming is being picked up. There's a avoidance of this phone tagging. The stats are incredible. What I've noticed, over 65% of calls get missed. And in that bucket, you have voicemails, you have also missed calls, you have also busy line if somebody is trying to answer or help someone else, or somebody took a break, for example. And then another caveat is that these calls are not being audited, or even the callers that turn into the customers, they're not being streamlined into the CRM system that they might have, like customer relational management system that they might have. So there's a lot of manual process that kind of bottles up. And then what happens is that a lot of companies, they say, well, I want leads, I want make more revenue. But then when we look at their business operation process, well, you have already customers that are coming and trying to make business with you. And what we see is if they can't reach you, if you don't get back to them, then they just go and call the next person.
Yeah.
So it's incredible. Like over 65% on consistent basis get missed. And then even then, all right, well, let's say 35% calls get answered, but then there's a lot of follow-up. We humanly cannot follow up with everybody. Sometimes we have only, let's say, 8 hours a day, but AI has 24 hours a day. And here's another thing. So there is a very interesting post I've read somewhere. It's rich people, have 2,400 hours a day because now they have capital to hire 10 people, right? Versus a regular person has 24 hours a day, but then, we build in all the other duties and responsibilities we have. But with the age of AI, now that is available for everybody. The only thing that you need is curiosity. What is out there? What kind of tools out there to help me to bridge that gap and make sure that I have this well-oiled machine? Because we know one thing, right? Customer acquisition is expensive. But if customers are coming to you already, they are become your kind of, that's a gold mine for you, that now you can offer you services. They can talk to you about your service to someone else. There's another interesting book that I've read. It was actually the best salesperson, I believe, How to Sell to Anybody. I don't know if you've read that.
Yep.
By George Girard.
Mm-hmm.
And he has this concept. It's called Girard Law 250. So what that means is that every person on average meets 250 people in their lifetime. So every time you say no to somebody, that person talks to 250 people about you. So that concept, when I read that, I was like, wow, like, how do you make sure that you provide a great quality service, but at the same time, you try to retain these people as well, because they're going to talk about you to their friends, to their family members. And that's just it's a lifetime value right there. And this is one of the voice agents that we offer to bridge that gap.
So is that expensive for an HVAC company to hire? Because I mean, if you're going to go hire a new marketing agency so you can get more inbound leads, you're going to spend, I don't know, 5K a month or 10K a month,
Yes.
depending on how small you are. Thinking of a small business.
So just giving you some of the ballpark, a lot of companies, and they spend it on perpetually, right? Like every month, five. And then let's say, even if you get somebody like part-time right now to work for you to pick up the calls, like an office manager, it
Yeah.
would be somewhere $25,000 or $30,000, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So the cost that I'm looking at, it's like less than half of that to implement a system like that.
And you don't have to come up with new marketing schemes. You don't have to, you know, really, you don't even have to increase your operation or none of that stuff. Like your cost of marketing, the time it takes, all that stuff. You don't need to talk about that at all until you've already maximized the system you already have.
That's right. So because what I see is a lot of times people say, I want more leads, I want more leads. But me being with my analytical mind, because our agents come with performance dashboard. So I'm marrying business intelligence with AI, basically, to have artificial intelligence together. So they can see, all right, well, how many calls is this agent answering? How many calls it followed up on? What's the conversion on that incoming calls versus 6 months prior to that? What's my revenue like? Because I can connect the system, so the agent can basically connect to their customer relation management software, can also connect to their financial software, so it can trace it out, that the lead to customer journey, so they can see the effectiveness of that agent. And here's the top part: if you want to hire somebody that office manager that actually would also need to know how to put the analytical dashboard, will also need to make sure they do it on consistent basis on every day, and they capture that in spreadsheet. How many errors that's going to cause, and how much of a training that's going to involve? And also, if that person leaves, right, or you scale, now you have to either retrain that person, or you have to hire somebody else that has that knowledge gap, basically, and making sure that you have that consistency coming. When we build our agent, we build them once, and it's lifetime value. And it basically, now it's just pull the data right away, and every day you can have that data refreshed like multiple times. So you can see like the effectiveness of that agent multiple times a day if you want to. You can even have it on a big billboard. Like if you were running HVAC company, you can have it on huge screens for everybody to see. All right, agents picking up this many calls, like this is our revenue, this is how many jobs that we have created, basically, because of that. So it's just so much value there. And this is what I want to look at for a lot of people. Like, I know AI is so new, and people maybe sometimes say, oh, it's another like marketing gimmick, right? But what I'm almost sell to people is, I'm just building a system. I'm just giving you technology that bridges those siloed systems and fills the gaps that you have, and automates these, now that you don't have to follow up with person. Is this done? Have you entered these leads in the system? Have you put together that spreadsheet together? Where we are at? Like, and we all know how much, probably for business owners that I talk every day, they hate like managing the whole process. But I'm just like, I don't want to ask questions. I just want to get it with no of this like a feedback loop and constant process going on.
Constant process.
Yes.
I can't tell you, businesses have to be losing so much opportunity that they could capture if they could only keep up with a follow-up.
Yes, but the follow-up and the current calls that coming in through, just if you capture the coming calls, like on the stats, as I see, 65%, like how much revenue it is that you can bring in additionally. Let's say what the conversions, like conversions is incredible. So I audit these phone calls whenever we do this for our clients. And when I read, almost like in my first one, I read everything. I just want to be more thorough. And I also see how long it's like, oh, I called you 2 days ago. I didn't hear back. And it's like, oh, I tried to call you back and I didn't hear back. It's like there's so much phone tagging going on and everybody's wasting their time, basically.
Yeah.
And all they just want a quote, or they want just a quick like information grab that all could have done by AI and quickly schedule that meeting as well on the calendar.
So do you have that set up for email yet?
Yes, yes. So the agent can talk to the CRM, basically customer relation management, like either if they use Go High Levels or if they use Jobber or if they use Copper, like any of the CRM that's, let's say that they use most CRMs now, HubSpots and Salesforce, for example, and route to your emails, route to your QuickBooks even, like pick up these people from QuickBooks and any other software that you might use, like Yardi, for example. If you're using property management to Yardi, they have the backend access. So you can pull the information and now you kind of have all of that tracking.
Now, when I hear AI voices on the other line, it sounds like an AI voice. How
Yes.
has AI voice changed?
Yes. So the models are getting improved. And here's the thing, we're not competing with Sam Altman's and Google's and stuff. We're using their models. We're using the models that they created, the perfect, like this is what they do. They make sure these models are comprehensive. They make sure these models can sound more human, can pick up the nuances, can make sure they spell out the names correctly. But here's the thing I also want to, I kind of want to dial back a little bit, like a perspective. Whenever we call somebody right now, most of the times there's no human that's picking up the calls. Let's be honest. Most of the times, oh, thanks so much for calling us. Press 1 for this, press 2 for this, press 3 for this. And you're already sitting 25 minutes on the call trying to get to somebody.
Right.
And sometimes you're just leaving voicemail. So the reality is you don't even get to talk to human nowadays. So just I want to like kind of sink that in like a lot of times, because a lot of times people think, well, this is like really sounds, robotic, or doesn't sound like AI. And I also advise my clients, let's be transparent. Let's say it's AI. Like anywhere you call right now, there's an automation system. It says I'm on a recorded call. These calls being recorded, for example, for our training purposes, for example. And it's just literally like a robotic thing that's going in there, and you wait like sometimes 30 seconds to 1 minute to talking to a person. So the model is going to get better, and we will evolve with that as well. So we're not going to be stopping. We'll just be swapping the models.
Awesome. So we talked a lot about voice AI.
Yes.
Tell me what else you're doing.
Oh, I'm doing also knowledge base. So that's a huge one as well that we see. Knowledge base. There's so much. So on stats, it said that average person takes about 37% of time on a sales call to find the information relevant for that specific client or prospect that they're talking to. What I mean by that, so let's say the salesperson gets on a call and they're trying to close somebody, but the information about that type of a profile or client is everywhere, somewhere like on a Google Drives and SharePoints and somewhere in the systems, basically, and they have to really spend the time to dig through the information. Or when we're looking at the construction specific, we're talking about building codes, ordinances. Like how much time does it take for them to put together a project and then find that building code that's appropriate and making sure that what they put together is actually compliant with that, and OSHA compliance that we're talking about. So we have our AI agent we name them the Farman one. The Farman is ordinances, building codes, is also OSHA safety compliance agent, and just got everything in. And here's the thing, you might ask me, well, what's the difference between that and basically ChatGPT? First of all, ChatGPT is pretty, it's available for everybody, but it's very generic. You have to manually attach these files that you find, basically. So you have to spend time finding them. Then you have to manually attach them. And if you expose large, like some of the ordinances or the building codes could be like 20, 50, 100 pages long. And then you go ask it to find information, because it has not been designed or set up, or the model has not been fine-tuned to recognize all the, so there's not just text, right? There's graphs, there's tables, there's handwriting sometimes. It cannot be helpful, but for somebody that is there, what they do every single day, and they depend depend on these codes, our agent can tell them the page, basically, that the code is that they're referencing is on, and also give them ability to retrieve that entire file. So they can go straight to that page, what they're asking for, what is the zoning for this, what is
Yeah.
the building code for this, give me the page, and boom. And then they can even like extract the entire file. So now when they're putting something together, they're not just like spending hours and days sometimes going to that county trying to figure out, oh, is this permit is going to get approved or not? They have that information.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Avoids the rework as well, because we all know that rework, delay in the projects, money, it all costs money and time because there's so many people that are involved in that. So that's one of the one of the knowledge base that we're doing right now. Another one that we are building is so we have Yardi. So my knowledge, I kind of started looking where my knowledge stacks up, and it's in Yardi property management system. So that's my sweet spot, my whole history, how I actually got into tech. So if somebody right now, for example, right now with AI, it's so, I'd say it's the barrier to change your career or to learn a new skill is so low with AI, where if I take you 10 years back when I was an accountant and working for a senior care facility company that was using Yardi as a property management company, and I was a just front end, like I was an accountant basically. I would just pull the balance sheets and just financial statements to show how well is basically the senior care facility that we're running is doing. I thought, oh my gosh, like there must be a better way. Like I'm doing this, I'm a janitor of books every week and every month. There must be a better way. Everything's coming from Yardi. Why there's just why can I have my report come the way I want it, basically? So I started tinkering with Visual Basics, the macros at that time. And I thought, oh my God, this is like magic. You press F5 button and just goes, and I would spend my evenings and nights. I really got like curious about that process. So then I begged my way into IT, and I'm so grateful for CFO at that time that took the chance on me, moved me to another department, gave me the opportunity, because I started hanging out with IT and I saw what they do. I'm like millions of rows that's coming, and all of a sudden it's processing like in seconds and then giving you all the visuals. So I started learning everything kind of on Yardi backend. I started learning, okay, well, how does the system work? What's the backend setup looks like? How can I get these reports basically that gets bugged down? How can I put together those reports so they come out automatically like this? Like it's when I say automatically, meaning you build it once and evergreen, and you build this analytics once, and then it pulls the data basically each time, and it refreshes that visual. And then after that, as I started getting more into Yardi, COVID hit, I got laid off. So I started looking for extra income and started looking at Upwork actually. And I remember my first job was Yardi for small commercial. It was a retail, like a small mall that used Yardi, and I just helped them to set it up. And I was so terrified at that time, Sam, I'll be honest, because like when you work as a corporate, you have the team, you have managers, you have some type of support system that you can back to. And if you screwed up, you're like, all right, like, you have someone here, people paying you money, and they're looking at you as expert, and like and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. You can fire me in one day if I can't do this. But then it worked out pretty well. So I blazed through it and I loved it. I love the whole portion. I love the part that I get to talk to business owners straight, because in a traditional way, for you to get a job, you have to go through weeks of interviews, and then there is like all these like questions. Here's like, oh, can you do the job? Here's a trial, go put it together, and if you succeed, great, you got it. So there's like a real practical application of it, instead of going through weeks of just calls and all of that process, and you don't even know if you get a job or not. And I just loved working with business owners, like seeing their pain points and seeing how can I solve them quickly, basically.
That's amazing. I love how AI is reducing so much time of our lives that's wasted.
Yes.
Just wasted. You think about like in development, you're going back and forth to the city 27 times. And you can hopefully get it all done on the first time because you've met all the rules, you met all the compliances, all the nuances, everything else has been double checked. You go in, ideally, they just throw it in their AI tool and it comes back and says, yeah, everything's here. And then they could say, okay, project approved and move on. Now, that's perfect world. Politics are still, well, not in my backyard, or we don't like developers. We love having our old buildings, or whatever it is they have. Outside of that stuff, we're just shortening the timeline a lot so that we can go live our lives.
Oh, and I think it's all about changing mindset because we right now working with some of our clients in the construction space. We're talking about, like I mentioned, HVAC. We're talking about, we also, let's say, electricians and plumbing. And what I see is that it's a mindset. Once I start, like people are like, oh, we have things under control. And once you start looking things under control, you realize, oh, you guys printing paper for your reporting and somebody's manually like typing in Excel and you don't recognize that as an issue. You think like, or for example, you review, you want everything to be print out, every project and like be signed off on it. Just like the little things that I'm telling you that like, but they cause delays in project completion. Or for example, when there's a huge board meeting and they're reviewing the financials and everybody's getting the printout and like all that, and instead of just getting that all interactive, getting all of that like automated and they can just share it on the screen and can quickly see and quickly drill down to because if they want additional information, oh, let me go put it together, or let me go print out another Excel, or let me fill in that Excel, which is prone to issues, errors, inconsistency. I mean, and then we're talking about the project submittals is a huge one. Submittals is that what we see is another one, like having a proper database of all submittals that you can quickly use for your current projects to avoid the rework, because you can quickly see what type of things that you've used, what type of items, who you bought it from, how much you bought it from, what's the capacity, what's the criteria, what's the specificity that was bought for that type of a project. For example, we're talking about large like builds, that could. And right now it's just information kind of passed on. Oh, it's somewhere in our emails, or someone hosts it in their cloud, and what I mean in their head, basically. And it's not really orchestrated, and then it costs like so much money, basically. It's, I think, changing our mindset of like, oh, this is how we do things, instead of how can we make it better? Like challenging that status quo. How can we make it better? Because if you're not adopting that, your competitors will be adopting that. And then you run into another issues that I see huge. It's huge. Is cash flow, right? It's big for everybody. So what happens is, let's say they've done the job. Now the work is done, but the time to invoice out that job, this is where a lot of manual steps, for example, grammar mistakes that hold it up. Oh, like we need to clean it up. Or there's incomplete information that's been submitted. Now goes back, let's say you are running a large company, you have 20, 50, 100 people that you have to go back to, and the volume is like over 300 invoices, right? That you have to process on daily basis, basically. And then you don't have information, that's going to delay the time from like, even sometimes right now, what most invoices get paid in 30 days. But if you don't have that information and the job is done and you're not sending it out in a week or more, what is that going to happen to get cash flow?
Thanks.
Yes. Yeah. And you have to pay people, you have to pay for inventory, you have to like make sure you have equipment that you have to maintain. So like what I'm seeing is that with the age of AI, one thing is I'm kind of glad there, because before AI even was there, this just could have been fixed with automation. A lot of times you don't even need AI. It could be pure automation, could be fixing that issue. But now with the AI, everybody's like waking up, and I'm glad, because people operating since 1995, for example, a lot of businesses are,
Yeah. I'm still printing out papers, still, there's the notaries. That's one of those things that's always gotten me. Like, why are we doing these notaries where you have to drive? And they finally have an online notary system now that it's like we're taking this giant leap forward, or part of the country is taking a giant leap forward, and part of the country is stuck.
Yeah.
But those who are taking a giant leap forward are seeing massive gains very quickly in their operations. And it makes our lives a lot easier. I use AI every single day. Even when we're looking at properties, we'll throw the rent rolls that a owner sent us and say, look at these 3 months and check for inconsistencies.
Love it.
And that could be hundreds of units. And it just comes back and says, oh, here's the inconsistencies.
Yeah, love it. Because what happens on a large scale is sometimes, right, our human eye cannot just miss things. Like, just like you said, for example, we have a client, we have Yardi clients as well, that they have over $1 billion in assets, and they have so many properties, commercials and residential properties, and there's so many KPIs, right? You have occupancy percent, you have asset management KPI, that you have different lenses that different groups of the teams that look at. The property managements look for collection, percent of collection, for example, occupancy percent, what's your 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. But then if you have so many properties, you might miss things. Sometimes just can be mixed. But even that, what we're taking for them, we build out entire analytics suite. So before, for example, just give you an idea, 2 years ago, before they came to us, they had 17 tab, like, an Excel tab, 17 tabs basically that they would have to maintain on a weekly basis to update their portfolio performance. 17 tabs. They have to manually pull the data from Yardi, manually download those Excel, drop them. And I know the person will say, oh, it takes me 1 hour a week now. But I'm like, all right, I don't think it's 1 hour a week, because every time the data refreshes, you have to rerun the numbers. I mean, you have to re-download those Excels, you have to repopulate the things, and you have to make sure you sent it on time, and you make sure that, like, you sitting there, like, this has to go out every Friday by this time. That means it's like somebody's watching over your head, basically, where we took it 100% off. I mean, 100% automated task. Now that person became better, like, here's another thing I want to always, like, ask with AI. Does this person's job become better or worse because of this? Like, did it become smarter or did it make it dumber? To be honest, like, removing that entire automation did not they made their life so much more easier, so much more productive, and so much more, I would say, valuable as well. Now they can spend their time in analyzing this, just like we talked about, like, analyzing these numbers, making sure what's happening, what are the trends are showing us, what kind of decisions we should be making here, who is causing our rent collection downfall, for example.
A lot of people are worried, and some jobs will be eliminated for sure. But for us, I want all of my employees using it, not so that I can get rid of them or replace them, so that they can do more and do things that takes a human brain to think through and analyze, and then makes the rest of their life easier by using AI tools to automate and give them the data, instead of spending all the time trying to track down data, get it in there, solving errors and everything else, right? Now we can think about it, and then we can go action on plans and be that much more responsive, faster, and we can get more done in a day.
100%. I think the key value of AI is shortening that sales cycle. Because here's the thing, it's leads, as I mentioned, like, coming through your doors already by calling you that you're not answering, you're not making sure you're nurturing properly. But then as soon as you got that project, making sure that your quality assurance process is short as possible, so you can quickly invoice. First of all, you can do delivery faster, more accurate, and you can also now do the entire administrative part of invoicing that out as well. So you shorten your entire sales cycle from delivery to sending out the invoice and making sure you get paid faster as well.
That's fantastic.
And now you can do more with AI. You can do more volume and help you but the processing part is not going to become a bottleneck anymore.
So tell me, who's your ideal client right now?
Absolutely. My ideal client right now would be, first of all, Yardi property management software that using Yardi and is probably frustrated with it, because I know Yardi can be very frustrating. I've seen it, all of my clients say it's very clunky. And I know that they have lots of integrations that could be that's out there right now that could be automated and also delivered for our clients. So that would be Yardi, property management company that using Yardi. Another one would be a great client is specialty contractors. So especially contractors that basically do the builds everywhere from HVAC that we're talking about, everyone that plumbing companies, those would be my ideal clients.
Your ideal clients. And where do you want to go with your company? Is this something you're trying to scale and sell? Is this something passion project that you want to keep and just keep delivering value forever? What's
Yeah.
your goals?
Sure, absolutely. That's a great question. I love real estate. I've realized that I absolutely love it. And what are my goals is I love real estate investing myself. So what I want is to keep growing my company. And at the same time, I used to volunteer a lot when I was in corporate. And I would do like after work, I would go volunteer in the women's shelter and also volunteer with Big Brother, Big Sister. I remember one thing when my friend told me, if you really want to help somebody, Zulfiya, give them a job.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuck in me. It almost made me feel like, oh my God, all the work that I'm doing right now, what I'm not helping. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? I'm almost like, I felt like this is not help. This is, and I think sometimes, entrepreneurship is hard, figuring things out. It's a lonely world. And sometimes I feel like, oh my God, like, I just want to exit. But then I think of all the people that work with me, that work for me, my team members. They are my inspiration. They are my push forward. And I want to keep growing. I want to make sure that I provide, meaningful work for somebody. And they are finding their purpose. They love what they do. They work really hard. And I just want to do more of that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being on the pod today. For those guests who heard and they're like, can you come help me? How do they get a hold of you?
Yes, absolutely. They can come find me at Zulfiya Forsythe. And then it would be just my handle on Instagram, also LinkedIn, just Zulfiya Forsythe. And if you come from this podcast from Sam Sells, you could just say Sam Sells and I'll send you my AI library, my free AI library that has all the prompts, just kind of like a quick tips on how you can implement them in your work and buy back your time immediately.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'll make sure that's in the show notes and post it. I really enjoyed our call. Got my wheels spinning about so many different things. I love what you're doing, solving problems for small business owners and big. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
If this episode shifted your thinking, then share it with someone bold. And remember, capital is a tool. Use it to build a world you are proud to live in.